Howdy, old heads. Kurt Money here, alongside my co-host,
Kateline.
Is it throwing you for a loop, Kate? I'm in a new background. I'm in a brand new Kurt Cave. This is Kurt Cave 4.0. What are you thinking, Kate?
I love it. Is this Kurt Cave 3.0 in terms of what our viewers have seen?
Yeah, but they never saw 2.0.
Oh, you're right.
Listen, there is a legit ranking of the Kurt Caves. There's Kurt Cave 1, the original one, on Fairfax and Fountain. Boom. Kurt Cave 2, Gastonia, North Carolina, where I got my lady. That's number 2. Number 3, Kurt Camper, that was literally 30 feet away from me, is no longer. Now, Kurt Cave 4. Anyway.
In the murder house.
Murder house, indeed. All right, so let's dive into this bad boy. Stretch it. Recording. We're good. Love it. We're here. We're back to the vault again. And it's not for lack of trying. I mean, we genuinely wanted to watch the repeat they ran on Friday. And based on the comments online, people were like, oh, this one's so good. It's so sad. It's so good. But, Kate, what happened? We tried to fire it up on the cock this morning.
They never put it on Peacock.
Is it? I wonder if it's there now.
No.
So we had to go, branch out, pick our own.
We had to go to the vault.
That's right. And when I opened it up, I was looking along all the shelves and I'm going, okay, we got a lot of good choices here. Kate's like, do a J-Mank. We haven't done one in a while. And I tried, Holt Heads, to pick a J-Mank. But the issue is, I was just faced with so much Murphdog gold that I had no choice but hit us with another dog app. And this is no different. This is What Lies Beneath. This is from season 23, and this first aired February 6th of 2015. And the dog's in it, and there's some gold doggage in here. Am I right, Kate? There's some good dogging, right?
You're sure right, Kurt. There is some
Yeah.
classic Murphdoggisms happening.
Yes. And 95% of them are awesome. But there's a 5%, there's one thing that happened this episode that is so Murphdoggian, but we've got to convince him to stop it. Okay? So there's a little tease. I wonder if you know what I'm talking about.
Is it his nails?
Whoa, the nails are coming up, though. The nails are coming up. That's not it, Kate, but that's part of my slideshow I got for you.
Great.
Okay. Let me read the IMDb here, and then I'll get your thoughts. This is genuinely what the description says on IMDb, okay? The theme of today's episode is What Lies Beneath. What the?
That's it?
Yeah. I mean, this is like user submitted or what. So I don't know what happened, but I looked up the Secrets Uncovered version, like one of the rehashes they do where they like chop it up and mix it around. That had a proper one. So I'm going to read you that one right now. Lynne Friend was a devoted mother with wedding plan. Lynne Friend was a devoted mother. Take it easy, Kurt.
Slow.
Breathe. Okay. Lynne Friend was a devoted mother with wedding plans when she vanished. Investigators searched land and sea, going to unexpected depths to solve the mystery. That rhymed. I don't know if you heard that.
No, it rhymed.
All right, Kate, hit me with your thoughts. What'd you think of this?
I enjoyed this. I don't remember it. It was new to me.
I do big time.
Really?
There are a few things. Yeah, I didn't. Like in classic Mind Grapes scenario, I remember elements of this episode, but it was almost like it was new. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of old Datelines. It's like, I know this one, but I don't remember the key points.
I thought it was great.
Sweet. And you know what? It started off, the first thing that jumped out at me when I was like, I'll go to the vault, we'll see what's what, is when the first shot of Lester is, he like goes, drugs. Did you see that?
Drugs? The agents never found any.
Like he did an arm thing.
Well,
it was hilarious.
He also kind of pops out of wherever he is and sort of walks a little bit to the side. So
yeah,
it's not just standing in front of the green screen. There's like a staircase. There's a little bit of movement.
Oh yeah.
And it's still very limited, but it's like, oh, hello.
Yeah. This is when they were doing that set. I mean, this might have been the era when Lester Holt's name was in the title. Remember we did that one that said with Lester Holt?
Right.
They used the hell out of this brick wall room, and that's what a lot of like the Dateline jokes are based on, is that wall. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, Lester hasn't been in front of a brick wall in years, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
And I guess this will come up more in a few weeks when we talk about the season as a whole, but maybe Dateline should return to the wall to try and get back some of that old magic. What do you think, Kate?
It's not a bad idea. The just generic newsroom kind of green screen that Lester's in front of, it's fine, but that wall has been the punchline of so many jokes. Mm-hmm. We deserve the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so our story begins in, of course, our dude's stomping grounds, Florida. Oh, wait. I was about to blank on where it was, but of course it was in friggin' Miami.
Miami. Party in the city where the heat is on, all night on the beach till the break of dawn.
Yeah. Our story's taking place in August of 94, but rewind a little bit back to the late 80s. We're hearing about the life of young Lynne Friend, and we're learning about her through her friend Esther. But wait, before we meet Esther, kick it off with some great Murphdog VO. Talking about, you don't need a moon over Miami. Blah, 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 blah. Right?
You don't need a moon over Miami for it to be beautiful by night.
Well, he just loves Florida so much.
He does. And he says, the view of Biscayne Bay will do just fine. Thanks, local.
Yeah,
thanks, local.
Didn't really make a lot of sense the way he phrased it. But I did notice, I mean, was I tripping, or the Miami skyline, I think, has drastically changed just in the last 10 years since this aired in 2015, because the shots from the water of the skyline just seem kind of small. And I feel like it's now all super high rise, really crazy, flashy stuff happening. And this seemed like, I don't know, that could be Miami or Tampa.
I have no clue. I honestly, when you said skyline, here's my point of reference, the Bad Boys movies. So I'm trying to think of the skyline from those movies. But I did notice there was an iPod ad, the one where it's like the silhouettes dancing on the thing. Did you see that? I couldn't figure out what it was for. I think it said iPod Mini, but that's 05. And like, I don't know, unless it's BYB, B-roll you busted. They're using some hella old stock footage.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, anyway. So we're in Miami. Murphdog's loving it. We talked to friend of Lynne Friend. Boy, there's some fun with this last name in this step, and we're already having it. One, Murph said it maybe 10 times in the first 2 minutes. Did you notice that? He said Lynne Friend 1,000 times.
I think when your last name is Friend, people are always going to say first and last.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I knew someone whose last name was Friendly.
Did you have fun with that?
No.
Gotcha. So we talked to Lynne's friend Esther. They had met while working at a hospital together. All right, now begins the slideshow. Kate, what did you think of Esther, and who did you think she looked like?
Oh. I don't think it occurred to me that she looked like somebody.
Okay, well, I'm texting you a picture of her. Who knows if this will make the app? I don't want it to be mean, okay? There's a picture of her. Got it?
Yes.
I think she looks like her brother is this guy. The subway ghost from a ghost. Vincent Chiavelli, I think is how you say it.
Oh no, Kurt.
What?
She doesn't look like him.
You don't see it?
No, because I've known several people who looked like him.
Jesus Christ. I thought, okay,
she doesn't
I'm just
have,
going to pretend.
She doesn't have the downturned eyes. They're like this.
She does. Forget it. I thought you were going to say, no, you can't do that because it's mean, but you're not even playing ball. You literally don't think they look alike,
no,
even with the pictures.
I think looking at that picture of her, she looks more like Melanie Linsky.
Nah, hard disagree. I couldn't disagree more, actually, Kate.
All right. Okay.
I'm trying to disagree more, and I can't do it.
Okay. Well, I guess our friendship's over. I guess that's
done. We're no longer friendly, even.
Sure was damp today.
Esther and Lynne met at a hospital in the late 80s, and actually Esther was maid of honor at Lynne's wedding to Clifford Friend. And that's where she got this excellent last name from, Clifford Friend. This was in 89. A year later, they had a son named Christian, and then a year after that, she's loving being a mom, she's hating being a friend, right? She wants to drop this loser.
Yes. They get a divorce, and she's very agreeable with the divorce terms. So she gives him a lot of the things that he's asking for.
Lynne had been awarded custody of the child, although she ensured that Christian's father, Clifford, had generous visitation rights.
Okay, so now, a year or two after that, there's a new guy in her life named Ed Odell. Do you remember his background? I kind of loved their meet cute. It was like super boring and long, and like, because he's such like a Southern gentleman.
Ed Odell, he was from Tennessee, and he was working construction, part of a crew that's building a new wing. And she interacts with him every day, very casually, for a year.
And he would walk in and he would say hi, and then he'd leave. And that went on for, I think, a year.
Just very polite hellos. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny, like it took Ed more than a year to say more than one word to her, but they're engaged within a few months. I mean, as soon as they got past that hurdle, they were off to the races literally because they wanted to move to Nashville and take Christian with them. So this was the plan. This is now August of 94. Lynne and Christian are about 2 weeks away from moving with Ed to Nashville to start new life. It's a Saturday night. 8 p.m. Ed calls up Lynne at her house. She's packing. Like her house, we see pictures of her house, and she's got like stacks and stacks of boxes.
Boxes everywhere.
She says, oh yeah, I'm just packing. I just gotta run an errand real quick. And so he tries to call her back. He calls her back at like 10:30 because this was like a 15-minute errand she had to run. And she did not answer. And we hear the voicemails too. We hear Ed getting gradually more and more upset, like, okay, where you at?
And not mad, just genuinely worried because he's like, you know, I've been calling over and over. I'm really starting to get freaked out now.
Hello, it's me. It's about 9:15, and I'm a little worried about you, and hope everything's okay.
And these, they sound like they're answering machine messages, not voicemail. So it's like...
The hell's the difference?
The fact that she can't just call back while she's still on the road from a cell phone. She has to, like, be home to hear these messages.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was on the home machine.
Yeah.
Sorry. Are they just called voicemails when it's with a cell phone?
I think so.
Interesting. I feel like
Messages on an answering machine.
Those aren't called voicemails.
I don't think voicemail entered the lexicon until cell phones.
Makes sense. But that's wild, dog. I mean, because you're saying that, I'm like, what? They're the same exact thing, but I guess you're right. A message on the answering machine.
Yeah. Old school. And her friends are also looking for her.
Her friend, Esther, who lives in the neighborhood. Now, this is what I want to ask you, Kate. I get where Ed's coming from. I get him calling, going, I'm really, really, really worried. Esther is almost more worried than Ed. And I'm kind of curious why. Were you thinking this?
A little bit, yeah. And it also seemed weird that Esther was leaving messages on the answering machine when she can see that her car is not there. So she knows that she's not home. And then calling saying, where are you? I'm worried. It's like, but when she gets that message, she'll be home.
Yeah.
And you know she'll be home. You'll be able to see her. It felt weird. And she was like, you ran out and you didn't tell me where you're going.
I'm really very worried. You didn't tell me you were going anywhere.
This to me is kind of like a little too close. I mean, I'm kind of like, you know, like, let me live my life, lady. Like, if I got to do a late night hut run, it's none of your business.
Totally. I don't even think Jillionaire would be like that.
Yeah. I mean, she is straight up like, where are you? Your car is not in your driveway.
Right.
I mean, look, she was right. She was absolutely right.
But again, she can't reply to you.
Yeah.
If her car isn't in the driveway.
Plus, she lived super close. I'm surprised she didn't go over there and start knocking or something.
I don't know.
Next day, they don't get good news. A neighbor finds Lynne's car half a mile away with a flat tire. We see pictures of this car, and we also see B-roll of that exact same model that Murphdog and the team rented to go shoot out on an open road. And you know how I know it was shot for this? One, it was widescreen in HD. But also, you could see across the street another Dateline shooter in like neon vests with the light on top of his camera.
B-roll, you busted.
Absolutely B-roll, you busted. Sorry, guys.
Busted.
When they found her car, they say it had a flat tire, but they show us a close-up of the tire, and that tire has been slashed.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a nail. There's like a gash in this tire.
And they don't mention it. They never say, like, someone had clearly slashed her tire.
Yeah, that's true.
Isn't that weird?
They just say flat tire.
Yeah.
It is weird.
They searched her abandoned car with a flat tire.
So at that point, Esther lets the cops into Lynne's place, because apparently Esther's got a key. I liked this. She was like, Lynne was very neat and frugal. And I walked in, the lights were on, the TV's on, the AC's on. And these are all like red flags to her, which I get. Now in the Kurt cave, that would mean absolutely nothing at all. Sure. What about you, Kate? Are you real good about that?
I think I am good about it.
Okay.
I don't leave a lot of stuff on. I only leave certain lights on for pups.
Ah, okay. I feel that. When I was in North Carolina and it was hotter than hell, I'd leave that AC on all day because here's what I didn't want to do. Come home every day and have to wait an hour for it to get cool in there. Like, the heat down there is disgusto.
It is actually, if you have central air, it is more cost effective and easier on the HVAC if you leave it on all day.
Interesting. I mean, my HVAC still broke and they had to replace it.
You know, those commercials about saving energy always say, like, bump up that thermostat at night. It's cooler, so you don't need it to be so low. It's like, that's exactly when you need it to be low. Yeah. You can't sleep if your thermostat's at 78.
No. Oh, I can't do anything if it's 78.
No.
But certainly not. Here's the most important thing about sleeping. Needing a blanket. And if I don't need a blanket, I'm not sleeping. frankly.
100%. Because that's how the sleep demons get you.
Well, that's true, Kate.
You can't have any feet or leg meat hanging out. They'll get it.
A single touch could kill you.
All right, so we've got a missing woman. Here's where my problem with Murphdog starts and ends pretty much with this episode, is we hate to see it, and something tells me that I think we see it the most in Murphdog apps. An entire act dedicated to the idea that maybe she had cold feet about getting married and ran away for a little break.
Ugh.
What about this?
I know.
Did you think maybe she got cold feet, was just taking a time out somewhere?
It makes no sense, and it never makes sense. And immediately, Esther is saying she would not leave her son unless she was dead.
Yeah. She remained cool in that moment, but answered definitively, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Without her son, never. Lynne would have to be dead to not have Christian.
Because I think of you that time when you were like, these are male detectives guessing this, and no woman will leave their kid, so stop asking the question. And I think it might be Murphdog episodes where they drive it home way too much. He brings it up later in the episode. I think this is a strictly Murphdog thing where he's like, well, you don't know. Could be a runaway bride. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Women do not leave their kids. Men leave their kids.
Yeah.
Men have no trouble just, you know what, I'm skipping out.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's terrible. But women know that if they do it, they'll end up in prison for abandoning their children. Now, in the very rare times where I've heard of a woman doing it to a man, where they'll be married, they'll have kids, the man will ask for a divorce and say he's leaving. The wife will say, okay, and she leaves first. So he's stuck with the kids. She's like, this is what you wanted. You wanted a divorce.
Right.
I'll give you everything. You can take the house, the cars, the kids, and all of it. And I will not ask you for alimony or anything. And she's out. And all of a sudden, they're like, f***ed. And it's too hard.
Wait,
after like 2 days, they're drowning. And they beg for the wife to come back.
Now, wait, is that a dream? Is that a scenario you'd like to see play out? I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, I have heard stories of that.
Oh.
And it's very baller.
It didn't result in murder either, because it was like the guy got what he wanted, and then he was like, wait, you know what? Maybe you're right, hon. Maybe I don't want that.
He got everything he wanted. He got everything and more.
Okay, guess what? Segment time. The wrong emphasis, or the emphasis on the wrong syllable. You say this, Kate. Say it.
The emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Boom. Murphdog.
I didn't hear it.
He's got two in this episode, and this one he says twice. Law enforcement.
Oh.
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement.
Yeah.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
Love it. Thanks, Murphdog. That's one of two for that word. Also, I take it back. This is my second problem with Murphdog. This is a minor one, though. They're looking in the car. They don't find any DNA, no fingerprints, no nothing. But they say that they found a waist pouch with her ID in it. You mean a fanny pack?
Say what it is, dog.
What?
That's a fanny pack. Put some respect on the fanny's name.
Yeah.
Inside, they found a waist pouch with her driver's license.
I don't get it. A waist pouch?
Hell no.
Get out of here. I kind of like the idea that he didn't even know what a fanny pack was. He's like, what do I call it? Is that a belt? It's too thick to be a belt. Oh, another segment. I always forget if this is on my list or just a segment. And he didn't give us the full thing, but Murphdog did say there was no aha thing. Now, what he meant to say is aha moment, right? But he started it and he said, aha, I loved it. This was like the time in the app when I texted you. I was like, there's 5 things already we got to talk about. Already.
Forensically, you're not coming up with this aha kind of clue.
He says the cops became biographers. And of course, this is what he said is, they see big stressful changes on our horizon.
It didn't really seem like she was stressing about it. She was in love, looking forward to getting married, and bringing Christian up to Tennessee where she could start again.
Yeah, that's what what the hell are you talking about? She's finally free of this tool. Boy, what did you think when we were seeing pictures of Clifford Friend? I mean...
Well, the mullet was hard.
You got to mention the balding, too. That's the key. He had a mullet, and not just receding hairline.
Yes. He also had a weird chin that came out like further than the forehead, maybe.
Yeah.
He just looked like a real Florida douche.
I know this is the mid-'90s, so I guess 80s or 90s. He looked like the stereotypical, when you lay eyes on him, you think douchebag instantly. He's got a gold chain. He's got like an 80s, 90s shirt. Here, that's another thing I took a screenshot of. Let me send it to you, Kate. Because it's just this look that I'm about to show you. This dude, this is like no hero in an 80s movie is ever wearing this outfit. And boom.
Oh, yeah. It's like a velvet club shirt with the chain. It's like a Miami kind of thing. Even though he doesn't look like he'd be at the club. Receding hairline, but long mullet. He's rocking the Chris Carter.
He is, just not gray. That's hilarious.
The thing is, that look would have been good in the 80s.
Yeah.
But by the mid-90s, no one was doing that.
That's true.
So he looked really dated.
Yeah. And actually, looking at this picture of the fam, I got to make this very clear. Lynne Friend was a babe.
Yes.
I was very into Lynne Friend.
She was beautiful, and it made sense to me why Ed Odell would holler at her every day for a year, and that they would be engaged pretty quickly.
Yeah, because he's probably thinking for a year, no way is this lady into me.
Totally.
I'm shooting up a level right now.
And as soon as he found out that she was, he was like, boom.
Okay, 100.
Down the aisle.
100%. He was like, I'm locking this down now.
And you know what? I thought he was like a cute, nerdy kind of dude. I thought he seemed cool.
Yeah, he seemed like a good dude. I was never once suspicious of this guy. We see him on the news. There's a lot of fun they have with like news footage from the time. And actually, Murphdog is talking to her name was Snell. I remember that. Mm-hmm. The newswoman from back then is a talking head in this ep. And we see the footage of it. I thought it was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I have to believe for Christian's sake that she's still alive because he's just a 5-year-old child and he needs his mother.
All right, so what's Clifford's alibi night of? Because the wife's gone. He's the first one we're going to. He had Christian for the night. So we're thinking, no way he's up to no good.
The night Lynne disappeared, Christian had been with his father for the weekend.
So time is passing. Ed Odell, one of many times he steps up in this episode, he starts a letter writing campaign to President Clinton at the time. And he's writing these letters, boom, boom, boom. And what do you know? The FBI calls up and says, we want to help out now.
Kurt, this is the second time in a month where someone has written a letter to a president and it got the ball rolling.
Yeah, I know it's weird. It was Reagan last time.
Heartbreaking anguish. For example, I learned about Jonelle Matthews of Greeley, Colorado.
Okay, so now that the FBI's on board, they're helping out, but they don't find anything either. There's no clues. There's no eyewitnesses. There's no nothing. So that is happening. Now, somewhere else in Miami, there's customs agents. They're on the water looking for drug runners and stuff. This was the 90s, and if we've seen Narcos and a million documentaries and stuff, we know how they were getting drugs to and from, right?
Boats were just coming in all night long into Biscayne Bay, bringing drugs up from all the islands.
Yeah, I just rewatched the Narcos where he's bragging Escobar made a boat out of coke. Like they made the shell of the boat the coke. Mm-hmm. This is crazy, man. Okay, this was so good. Oh my God, I died. Now, it turns out that this is an actual name for boats. It has a Wikipedia page and everything, but Murphdog said the following when we're talking about like drugs in the 90s. He goes, a customs agent is on the hunt for cocaine cowboys in their go-fast boats.
Go-fast boats?
That's what they call cigarette boats. It's like another term for a cigarette boat. Yeah. Isn't that hilarious?
Okay, so I am quite familiar with speedboats.
You mean go-fast boats. Continue.
My family, we have had many. And not just speedboats like boats with engines. I mean cigarette boats. I mean speed boats, fast boats, Bajas, Donzis, etc. I have never heard go fast boat unless a little kid was like, let's go fast.
That's really funny.
And here, the cat and mouse game of law enforcement, pursuing cocaine cowboys in their go-fast boats, was the reality back in the 1990s.
But wait, you're telling me you guys had boats where the hole or whatever, like in front of the driver is like 20 or 30 feet of just top of boat.
Yep.
You guys owned boats like that.
Yep.
Like that. Crazy. For what? I mean, do you ski behind those or no? Because I did water skiing and stuff on speedboats, but none of these go fast boat actions.
No.
These are only in Miami Vice as far as I'm concerned.
Kurt, water sports is trashy. In my family, boating was the activity, not jet skiing or water skiing or tubing or any of that. No.
Kneeboarding, that's all trashy to you. You're up there with your ascots on and your champagne.
That's all lake activity, what you're describing.
Exactly.
We were in the Intercoastal Waterway and the Atlantic.
Okay. Can that stay in?
It can, because the Intercoastal Waterway spreads from Maine to Florida.
Okay. All right. Put that in the book. So this is wild. We talked to a customs agent. The same night that Lynne goes missing, they're out there doing their thing. This sounds cool as hell. They go like 3 miles out on the water towards the Bahamas. They just kill all the lights, put on night vision goggles, and just kick it and wait and listen for boats.
Insane. I love this. Badass.
Yes.
Because
this was so cool.
They're going to see the boats before they see them. So there is a little bit of danger because if they don't move out of the way, they could get hit.
Yeah.
But with the night vision, and I assume those boats didn't have lights on either because they're trying to run the drugs.
Yeah, and they had goggles on too. Well, okay, wait. So they're out there looking out, and they see a boat coming their way, and there's 2 men on it wearing bandanas and goggles. I assume night vision goggles as well, right?
Probably.
So they see them, and they're trying to follow him, and this was awesome. This was awesome because he goes, I noticed that the passenger had pushed a large duffel bag off the side of the boat. And he goes, so I said to my buddy, light him up. Light him up!
Boom. Giant searchlight right on him.
Oh. I tell one of my crew members, light him up with a spotlight.
Light him up. I would love to say that. Light him up. Get him. But these dudes, they kind of entertain the pursuit. Like they are in a chase for a little bit, right? Like they rolled a large duffel bag into the water, but eventually they give up. They bring these dudes back to land and they're like questioning them. The men are released, but they keep the boat so that they can like do further international searches or whatever. So it really is, if you get that thing in the water, you're good to go.
What do you mean?
Well, they were released. Clearly they were up to some illegal shit. They're wearing night goggles, driving with no lights on in the middle of the night, and they dump something.
But because there's nothing on them, they have to let them go.
If they don't find that bag, they get to walk out of there. That's wild. Right? I guess that's why it's so popular for like cocaine cowboys and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It just totally makes sense.
Cocaine cowboys in their go-fast boats.
Oh, this was another part where Dateline's throwing out some money for the B-roll setup. They had a POV of someone on a boat following another boat and lighting them up and stuff.
Yeah, they did.
I was like, hell yeah, Dateline. Love it. They wouldn't do that shit today.
No.
Nope. No. We'd see stock footage of a tight close-up of like the top like point of a boat going fast over the water. That would be what they would do in a 2025 Dateline, right?
Yeah.
A week goes by, that same customs agent, he's just reading the paper, and he sees an article about a missing woman named Lynne Friend. And he's like, I know that weird-ass last name.
One of the dudes that we caught in that boat had the last name Friend. There's no way they're not related. That's too weird.
Yeah.
So he
That's
calls
awesome.
the cops in charge of Lynne's case.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey.
The bottom of the article was a detective's name and a phone number, so I called the number. But at first he didn't believe me. He thought it was a prank call.
I'm watching this going, oh!
And
right? Like,
the fact that it was the night of her murder.
The night of the murder.
When he's supposed to be just hanging out with Christian.
Yeah, good point. And also, I was quick to note this because when I was writing my notes, I said tossed in a large duffel bag. No. They rolled it in.
It's a body.
So keep that in mind. It's a body in there.
You don't roll drugs.
Yeah, drugs are light. So now the cops and the media, they're on to Clifford Friend. We see a shot of him like leaving somewhere with a golf or like a visor thing on. They're asking him questions and he's like, no.
He's like sipping a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
All casual about it. Douche.
Now, 10 days after Lynne's disappearance, investigators and the media laser focused on Clifford Friend.
They do get a search warrant for his house and they take his car and search stuff, but they don't find a damn thing. Nothing. So this we got to spend a minute on here, Kate. Somehow the U.S. Navy gets involved, but not without a price. What the is this about? So the U.S. Navy, like, they could search for bodies, like they can get the sonar going or whatever. And they say, yeah, we'll do it. What's the detective say?
He says that it's going to cost them.
Yeah, it's going to cost them. And they say it's going to be $48,000. Now, the way that this detective worded it. I wrote it down because to me, it's what it sounded like was, well, the U.S. Navy's cheap asses, and they said they'd help, but we had to pay them. That's what the lesson is here. But the way that he words it,
the U.S. Navy is precluded from providing assistance to law enforcement without reimbursement.
So that's a law written somewhere? Why?
I guess they're totally different entities that don't work together, because if the Navy is investigating something, they have their own they have NCIS. They have their own
But, okay. To me, it sounded like they're charging money so that they don't just become a search and rescue team, is what I thought.
Well, I'm surprised that the Coast Guard didn't have this kind of technology. They're the ones who are on that water all the time.
Well, it was
looking for bodies and drugs.
It was 1,000 feet deep. I think that was the problem, is that it was like heavy duty deepness, I feel. So it's like maybe their couldn't go that far down or something, maybe. What do you think?
Maybe, yeah.
But what's wild is they agree to pay it, and Murphdog's like, oh, and then you get a heavy bill at the end. No, they had to pay up front. Now, the reason why I'm steamed right now is because it took them 2 months to come up with $48,000. And so the Navy didn't help them until 2 months later when they had that money. So that means there's 2 months of tides and weather. Like, that body's long gone.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. And once they finally do the search, they find nothing. They're like, all right, we're going to pack it in. And Ed Odell is like, please just search one more day. And he writes a check for $13,000 so that the Navy can search for one more day.
Crazy. He just says, no, stay out there.
And on that last day, they find what turns out to be absolutely nothing. They think it could be a body. It ends up just being trash.
Yeah, they see they really set it up too like it could be something. They're like, they saw a black bag at the bottom of the ocean. And it was a bag of beer cans. So $13,000 well spent. Usually in this scenario, when somebody offers that, like a civilian will offer that, we'll hear the cops or the state go, it's okay, we'll cover it. Not here. No. They let Ed Odell pay for this shit.
Unbelievable.
And I love that it's after this when they go, okay, but we know that Ed Odell didn't do it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty wild move to pay for an extra day of searching if you're the guilty party, right? You're just playing with fire. Search fizzles out. This was, months later, nothing solid, no witnesses. We're talking to, like, one of the DAs at the time that was there then, that's there now. This woman, we talked to her, she didn't really do anything with this case. She was just in charge while it was happening. You know who I'm talking about? She was wearing purple. She had big hair.
Yes. She, I don't think, appeared in that courtroom. She was just overseeing all the cases in the county during that time.
And this was yet again, we're already 2 acts away from Murphdog blaming it on a potential runaway bride. He cuts her off to say it again.
And she's like, no.
No. And the way he said it, we'll hear later in some lists, because he said it real funny, too. He said it real funny. Does this get a hint, Kate? Choo, choo.
Yes.
I can't see anything. It's like it's midnight or something.
No, I got you.
Where is that, Georgia?
I got it, Kurt.
Okay. Months pass. They show a reenactment on the news. I thought this was like maybe an FF or something, but I think the news did it. They shot a reenactment of what the cops saw or what the customs agents saw. So they had actors like pushing a body over into the water and stuff. That was cool. We saw footage of that.
That was probably a segment that Snell woman hosted or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was probably her package. So she was like, use it.
They even offer up a $6,000 reward and no good clues come in. So this thing is getting cold fast. They look into Cliff, like, because they're like, okay, well, if Cliff was on this boat, we know that for a fact. And this is when it's introduced that Cliff has a shady history of drug running. So that's his excuse in this moment, right? Is I was doing drug stuff, dudes. I was not dumping my wife's body. I was doing drug stuff.
His girlfriend makes a point of saying, as soon as Lynne disappeared, he changed his tune and he said, I'm not going to do drug stuff anymore. I have to be present for my son now that Lynne is gone. I'm cleaning up my act. Okay.
Yeah.
He wanted to turn his life around. He had a little boy to take care of.
I mean, it couldn't be that he understands that now he can never get arrested again because he can't bring attention to himself.
Correct.
It could be that, yeah. So a year and a half later, they marry, right? And we see his buddy, Alan Gold, who the boat belonged to. And Murph says, with a silver braid down to the waist of his back or whatever. When they're talking, we see a picture of the braid too. Did you see it?
Oh, it was long.
Yeah. I love that Murphdog called it out too. So remember the name Alan Gold. This guy looks like a character, and he totally is.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing goes cold for a long time. 2010, a Miami prosecutor takes over the case, and again, it's like we don't have any proof. We need proof. Juries love proof. And Murphdog gets a nice thing in there about CSI. I loved it. Okay, so now that this new prosecutor's on the case, they're looking for links to Clifford Friend, and they find an acquaintance of Clifford. And as I'm writing down notes, I go, wait, it's weird that they said acquaintance. Like, was he not his friend? And I said, oh, because his last name is Friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they had to do a different word.
There you go.
I love that kind of stuff. Like, when they're doing the copy, somebody's going, you know what, Murphdog, we can't say Friend twice here. And he probably said, why the hell not? Because he says Moon over Miami in the beginning, and then seconds later says Moon over something. He says Moon over twice. Do you remember that?
Over the moon with being a mom.
You know, if this happened in 2025, they would say besties.
I could see them saying that. Yep. So this acquaintance named Robert Missy, and boy, were the laughs coming in. I was dying. So they find this guy who's on probation, and he tells the story that a few weeks before Lynne went missing, he had been to an IHOP with Clifford. And Clifford said, well, my wife thinks that she's going to leave with her kids. She's not. She's going to leave for good, dead, on a boat, and never come back.
Mm-hmm. He did say that.
So the cops are like, ooh, this is good. So they mic him up. And now this is what I need. I did a double take on this case. This is now 16 years after it happened. They mic him up. He goes to an IHOP to meet up with Clifford Friend. And he, for some reason, we hear it, says, hey, that thing I told you 16 years ago, don't ever talk about that, right?
My biggest concern is the conversation that we had at IHOP. I just want to make sure you didn't talk to anybody. Oh, no.
What was going on here? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. If that's not him admitting his guilt, that's all the evidence you need.
And that's what the prosecutor thought. But do you hear what I'm saying? Why? One, that's the type of statement that people get mic'd up to try and coach out of someone. Mm-hmm. We've seen it fail a million times. He offered this up on his own. Mm-hmm. And I'm dying to know why, after 16 years, he says, remember that time we had lunch a week before my wife went missing? Don't ever tell anybody about that. Isn't that crazy?
Maybe because they were at the IHOP, it reminded him of what he told him at the IHOP. Like,
interesting.
Last time I was at an IHOP, my dad told me that my mom was really good in bed.
What? Okay, that's going in the book 1,000%. Why?
I asked him the same thing. I said, why would you tell me that? And then I told Jillionaire that he said that. And guess what her response was? She goes, She didn't go, oh, that's inappropriate. He should not be saying things like that to his daughter. No, she went,
oh, my, she's like, hey, he ain't wrong. That is hysterical. That would haunt me forever.
Especially because they've been, at that point, had been divorced for a very long time.
No. Mm-hmm. So okay, let's move on from this. It's definitely a chapter in the book, but I don't want to dwell on this. Okay, so we hear Clifford say this on the mic, and they're at an IHOP. Now, I was really hoping that a moon over my hammy was from IHOP. It's from a Denny's, though.
Perfect opportunity.
Right. Because I'm not kidding when I say I've never heard moon over Miami as a saying. I only know it as an item on a menu I never order, but it's a cultural reference to me.
The item on the menu is a play on words based on moon over Miami.
I get it. I've never heard moon over Miami, though. I've only heard moon over my hammy.
Yeah.
Have you, I knew it was a play on it, but I don't know the origin of it. So it was really funny that, leave it to Murphdog to say the OG.
Kurt, I feel like you and I are both very food motivated. So if it's a food reference, we're going to hear it more than something that's not.
True. Because in my experience, I'd be at a Denny's, they say, do you want the moon over my hammy? And I'd say, no, I just want a plate of bacon, please. And then I move on. Or I get the Philly cheesesteak super stacker. I'd get one or two of those bad boys and a plate of bacon.
Interesting.
But anyway, this fucking Missy guy is hapless, as Murphdog says. The second time that they wire him up. Oh my God.
This was so dumb. He brings his baby.
Yeah, mistake number one. Okay, he brings his baby to IHOP again. IHOP is like their joint, apparently.
They can't hear anything.
When we asked him what was wrong with the baby, we couldn't hear the baby was screaming. He said, oh, I took the recording device and I dropped it in her diaper.
Oh, you're kidding.
And then, as the lady points out, those things get hot. So that baby was screaming because the recording device was super hot on its bare butt.
Like burning the poor child.
What an idiot. I mean, these
men are very stupid people.
Yeah, honestly, he could be a member of the Hee Haw Gang. Season 1 shout out right there. I mean, this is some dumbass stuff. That dude don't even know what antifreeze is. That's my impression of that dude. Remember that guy?
So he didn't know how to put antifreeze in the pickup truck. That dude don't know nothing about nothing.
My God, I'm sorry. This diaper thing killed me. Just the heart sinking in the car. Like, what is happening?
It's child abuse.
Yeah, that too. That too.
And don't bring your baby to meet a murderer.
No.
And don't burn your baby with a hot mic.
No, because if Clifford wasn't so stupid, he might go, let me hold your baby for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he's so worried about getting busted, don't be putting it on the baby, dude. Anyway, so this guy is a real idiot. And then they caught him out in another lie. And this is when they said, after this, Missy was quietly retired from the investigation.
Mm-hmm. They did not need his help any longer.
Rob, you're off the hook, okay? Do not contact us again, please.
You are too stupid. Kick rocks.
Too dumb. Yeah.
After Missy was caught out in a lie on something else, he was quietly retired from the investigation.
But what's wild, this was a good strategic move. In 2012, the prosecutor takes Missy's IHOP story to a grand jury. Not Missy, though. He's not invited, but his story to try and get an arrest warrant. Mm-hmm. And it fucking worked. I mean, this is pretty wild, right?
It worked, and thank God it did. They arrest Clifford Friend.
And in 2012, he's charged with first-degree murder. And this is where the prosecution plays their last... This was all part of their smooth move where they know that all the prep for trial, the defense is going to be focusing on proving that Robert Missy is a terrible witness and we can't believe anything he says. The prosecutors are going, good, do that because we're not even going to bring him to trial.
Mm-mm.
That's pretty smooth.
They are more focused on getting Homeboy with the waist-long braid up on the stand.
Yeah, that was their ace in the sleeve. That was the one they were like, you guys don't even know what's about to hit you.
Mm-hmm.
Trial starts 2 years later in 2014. Great Murphdog burn here.
Clifford Friend, looking more jowly banker than killer, was on trial for his ex-wife's murder.
This dude's hair is even worse now.
Yeah.
Now his hairline is even more insane, and his suit does not fit. The sleeves are so long, he looks ridiculous.
Yeah. He looks pretty dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Murphdog saying jowly, I was like, ooh, get him. And we see the son, Christian. What's up?
And Christian is also there with his stepmom.
Now, do you know, Kate, what drove me f***ing nuts about Christian?
I do.
What?
The entire trial, Christian was chewing gum.
Thank you. Even while he's on the stand reading victim statements, he's chewing gum. Kate, thank you so much.
If that was a nervous thing, he needed it to stay calm, but I didn't even know you were allowed to do that in the courtroom.
Yeah, it just drove me so nuts. And it's funny because not 3 days ago I texted you, I was watching a movie where a character was quit smoking, so he's chewing nicotine gum. And I was like, I got to turn this shit off. I hate it. I hate watching people chew gum and do stuff. I hate it.
It was so distracting the way he chewed this gum. You could even see it in the super wide shots of the whole courtroom. You could see his jaw moving. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I was so mad. I was so mad.
Okay, good.
I couldn't believe that the stepmom wasn't saying,
didn't say anything.
Spit it out. Here's my hand. Spit it out.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, that's what Adrian Brody did. He's a gentleman. Remember when he got that Oscar? And he threw his gum at his girlfriend or wife, Harvey's ex? Anyway, here's a tangent. You don't remember that?
I don't. But I don't really watch the Oscars.
Okay. Did you see me go, my little eye roll on you, Kate?
Kurt's eyes just rolled so hard they fell out of his head.
They did. Hang on, let me put him back in. Ed Odell gets up there on the stand. We hear from him, and it's heartbreaking. He's near tears and stuff. I mean, he's dangerously close to becoming part of something.
He is very close. He has to stop at one point to wipe his tears.
Yeah.
And then the judge says, Mr. Odell, do you need to take a break? And he said something weird. I mean, he says no, I just want to get this over with. But what he actually said was I just want this to be done, or...
No, I would like to get finished.
The victim, Lynne, her divorce attorney at the time, he goes up there on the stand, and he tells a story about how a week before her disappearance, they had a hearing or whatever, and Clifford Friend lost his mind screaming that no one's going to take my son away from me.
Mm-hmm.
This is some pretty good evidence right here, huh? Mm-hmm. And also, Clifford's son, Christian, the gum chewer, he also is adamantly on the side of his dad, too. So, you know who he can join. Like, this is classic kids growing up with the killer.
Right.
Like,
He spent 20 years with him, and they were, by all accounts, a great 20 years.
Yeah. Okay. This was the ace up their sleeve that the prosecution had. That is, they had been gunning for Alan Gold, the guy who owned the boat and stuff. He was with Clifford Friend on the boat that night when they got arrested. Now, he's kept his mouth shut for 20 years. And the prosecution says, if you do not flip on your friend and come in here and tell us what happened, we're going to arrest you and you're going to sit in jail until the end of this trial at the very least. Right?
Which is not great if Clifford didn't do it,
mm-hmm.
and they're asking this guy to get up on there and say he did, or they'll arrest him. That's perjury also. That's bribing, blackmailing, whatever.
Here's my defense of that, because that's what the defense says. They said the only reason why this guy's going to get up there is because he says, fine, I'll do it for immunity. So he has full-on immunity, and he comes in to testify. And you know what? He sans the ponytail, but he's got a Stetson in his hand, doesn't he?
And a limp.
And he comes in with some real swagger. I mean, this guy's a real piece of shit and a no good, but I mean, he's kind of a hero in this situation.
He's like laughing, and they're like, oh, is something funny? Is this funny to you? And he's like, yeah. It took you guys 20 years to figure this out? Come on. He's like shaming them.
Yeah, and he testifies that he got a call from Clifford, and he admitted that I killed my wife. It was an accident. She fell, and then I got on top of her and strangled her. I blacked out, blah, blah, blah. And he agreed to help Clifford dispose of the body. So he gets her in a bag. They go on the boat. He's out there fully knowing what they're getting rid of. Like, he is an accomplice 1,000% in this situation. And he is on that stand being such a dick that he says, like, I'm not the one who killed the broad. You remember that?
Yes. And they're like, a broad? That's how you talk about women? And he's like, hey, I watch a lot of Sopranos.
Yep. Keep that in mind.
I didn't whack the broad, so I didn't care.
And then when the defense goes, is it true that you were just drug running that night? He just goes, bullshit. I loved it, right? Instead of saying no, like, he just straight up.
Isn't it true, sir, that you needed to meet him that night to go run some drugs? Isn't that true?
Well,
he is, as we've said, a piece of shit. But what the prosecution said is that, yeah, he's a piece of shit, but he's believable. And he absolutely is.
Yeah, I agree with that. It almost plays to their advantage that he's so flippant and doesn't give an F about any of it. Because he says, the only reason why I'm here is because you forced me to do this. I would not be here otherwise. Like, he says all the right stuff where it's like, oh, wow. This guy, yeah, he sucks, but he's telling the truth.
He's a character. He is despicable, but he's believable.
So the defense tries to go at him, doesn't work. The prosecution's riding high right now. And then they come in with what they think will be like, or the cherry on top of the cake for them, is this jailhouse snitch. And they tell a tale of a classic, I was about ready to say jail cell bro down, because this guy, this snitch, he and Clifford were watching some like Spanish language soap opera called El Capo. And in it, the dude's wife is murdered and pushed into the water off a boat. And what's Clifford say to him in that moment?
Well, that's what I did to my wife.
It's deja vu. Yeah. So this is, the prosecution's like, done. We're out of here. Jury, do your thing. We've done our bit. But the defense does some digging.
Cliff and I were on the telephone when this episode was aired.
And so this gets this shit thrown out. I mean, the judge is pissed.
Yes.
Right?
She sends the jury away and pulls everyone up to the bench. And she says,
seriously, you put on a jailhouse snitch and you didn't check in any further to his credibility? I don't want to respond to that.
Kurt, is it possible that this show aired multiple times?
Thank you. I mean, I'm with you here. I mean, the way they made it sound, they did all the digging they had to do. But that was my first thought. One, they're not watching this in prime time or whatever. Like, I'm sure this was like during lunch or what, you know what I mean? Like, they were probably watching a rerun themselves.
Totally.
So there's that. And then also here's what I was thinking. Okay, they're on the phone the whole time. But what if these two are cellmates? And after the break time, they go back to the cell, and Clifford's like, hey, I was on the horn with my old lady. What did I miss in El Capo? And then the snitch says, oh, it was so great. He killed his wife by pushing him off a boat into the water. And then that's when Clifford said, hey, deja vu. That's totally what I did. Isn't that also an option here?
Totally. I didn't think it was a lie.
Yeah, but I don't know. They didn't say if he admitted to it being a lie.
No.
They offered up that the conversation was during the airing, so it couldn't be true. And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
And then the judge brings the jury back in and tells them to disregard that testimony. Pretend they never heard it.
Yeah. And the prosecutor is like, I made a mistake.
You want an answer? I made a mistake.
At least he's owning up to it, right?
And I'm not convinced he did.
Oh, made a mistake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A shitty soap opera thing like that is going to be airing at all sorts of random times.
Yeah. So with that, the jury goes to deliberate. And some people are feeling good. I know Christian, the son, he's going home every night thinking, my dad's got it in the bag. He's innocent. They deliberate for a few hours and come back, and what's the verdict?
Guilty, second-degree murder. Life in prison.
Yeah, he gets life in prison, but did they charge him with first degree? So did they do the thing I hate where it's like, if you don't think he's really guilty, we'll throw in second degree? Or did the jury bring that up on their own? Like, how was second introduced?
I don't know. It's a great question. I guess without all of the evidence, you can't really go first degree.
Well, no, they said...
There's no body and there's no murder weapon.
But they believe that he killed her straight up, but they just don't think he did it with premeditation.
But it sounds like he did because he told the divorce attorney that he wanted to kill her and throw her off a boat.
That's a great point. I guess when I heard it, I was like, well, but yeah, you're right. He planned it.
He told her to come over that night because he had a check to give her. A child support check
for
to
child
give her.
support.
He lured her over. So she went over and he killed her.
That's when Murphdog said child support.
Child support.
He said it funny there too. I was loving it.
She told him that she was going to Clifford's house to pick up a child support payment.
But yeah, also, I wonder, this has to be a thing that you can do via PayPal or direct deposit now. And I feel like divorcees are probably very pumped about that. That you don't have to go in person over to the house to get a check anymore.
Oh yeah, it probably just, you can set that up with your bank to automatically cut the check or direct deposit.
Yeah.
That's a much safer option.
We hear that a lot though. A lot of setups for murders, it's like, I went over there because they had money for me. Mm-hmm. Like, because it's always a constant battle. Oh, also, we learned, so one of the things that Gold was saying was that they took the anchor from the boat and put it in the duffel bag to make it sink more. And then we look back at the report and the customs agents had reported that the anchor was missing.
There you go.
Yeah. So this is sounding pretty good. And then wait, there's, and also, so Clifford supposedly had Christian all night. He took him to a babysitter.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want him there during all this, and he knew he was going to be on a boat for a couple hours.
Yeah. So now it's time for victim statements. Ed Odell gets up there. I wasn't crazy about him saying, like, to Christian, you won't get this until you have a kid and you know true love or whatever. I'm not crazy about how he worded it.
No.
But I kind of like that he was calling Christian out, though, don't you?
Yeah, he could see that Christian was siding with his dad and was like, you're brainwashed.
You will not be able to understand Lynn's love for you until you have your own child.
No, and look, if I was talking to Christian, I'd say the stuff we're saying where it's like, dude, you don't know. You grew up, you were 5 years old when this happened. How do you know what happened or not? Like, there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Christian gets up there, chomping away.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying like, and I don't even want to engage with what he said, but then he ends up engaging with what he said, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to go into how frustrating it is to hear how I've become a good person in spite of my father, because he is the best person I know.
This is my dad for 20 years, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was all some real Ashley Howard nonsense.
I'm sorry, what?
And I wasn't here for it.
Nope.
And then sentencing. This was awesome. This judge, we already heard her snap at the prosecutor. She is clearly a fan of Judge Money's courtroom rules. Because what does she do when she's reading her like, you're a piece of shit and I hate you to the prisoner?
Well, he starts looking around and she goes, sir, look at me.
Boom! Boom. That's what I want. We've talked about it where I was like, I want eye contact from this. No note taken, no nothing. Mm-hmm. And she said, sir, look at me. I was like, that was great.
You treated Lynne Friend with unspeakable cruelty.
That was great. All right. Well, that's the end of that, and I think it brings us to our list. Kate, what do you got?
Kate's unnamed list. Well, it's Miami, Florida, and our military connection here is the Navy sonar nonsense.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And you were going to get a bill at the end of it.
We had to pay up front, actually.
And that's I think gonna do it because I don't think her car was a big enough piece of the puzzle.
Kate, you missed two things. Number one, you did miss a puzzle because it was, could Christian fill in any pieces of the puzzle?
Okay. All right.
Could he help fill in any pieces of the puzzle?
And then number two, experts said that it was beyond trying to find a needle in a haystack when they're talking about the body in the ocean.
The experts told us that it was beyond a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. Again, these should move to your list because you always catch them and I never do.
Okay, you know what? Let's just make it official because I sound like an asshole when I do this, but these are list items.
I know.
So I'm going to go ahead and take those. Those are now on my list.
Okay.
How's that sound, Kate? Look, they were my suggestions to you anyway. Like, if we go back in the records, I feel like it started with my idea. So it's kind of wrong to force it on you if it's not something that's jumping out at you. What do you think?
Okay. All right.
Do you want to give me puzzles and needle in a haystack or just one of them? What you thinking?
I want to give you both, and I'll think of things to put in their place.
Okay, sweet. Welcome to the list, my dudes. So that's it for your list?
Needle, haystack, my dudes.
On to
Kurt's
Kick-Ass List.
Kick-Ass List.
Boy, did I had a ton today. Kurt's Kick-Ass List, no signs of any struggle. Right down the middle.
There was no sign of any struggle at Lynne's house.
Okay, the CSI speech that so many prosecutors give at jury selection. Kurt's Kick-Ass List. Murphdog says it. That's a boom.
Well, I think that especially now, juries have high expectations.
The CSI speech that so many prosecutors give in jury selection.
Okay, Murphdog. Classic reference from Murphdog. Prosecutors gave Gold an offer he couldn't refuse. Godfather. Of course Murphdog is quoting The Godfather, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Prosecutor Michael Von Zandt made the other man in the boat an offer he couldn't refuse.
So that's on my list. Hollywood stuff. The fact that they show clips of this El Capo show on my list.
That counts.
Clifford watching the Spanish TV soap opera El Capo about an ocean-going, wife-murdering drug dealer.
And of course, Gold, the despicable guy up there in the stand talking about Sopranos. I mean, that's a list item.
Godfather.
Right?
Sopranos.
Is that what this is? We've been whacked the broad? Is that what she is?
I watch The Sopranos a lot.
And then this is might be a stretch, but at the end, Murphdog says, ultimately, it's all about a boy. Kind of sounds like he's talking about a boy. What do you think, Kate? You going to give it to me?
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Ultimately, it's all about a boy, isn't it?
Okay, What Lies Beneath is a movie.
Harrison Ford. That's a Robert Zemeckis movie, isn't it?
Yeah. And the poster's boring. So unlike last week's Rear Window, when the poster was the Rear Window poster, I know what What Lies Beneath poster looks like. It's a snoozer. So I'm probably not going to be using it. But 2 weeks in a row, the name of the episode is a straight up movie. So that's pretty cool.
Boom.
It's not just movies, though, because we got a song, the one that I teased earlier, oh so smoothly.
She might have metaphorically taken the midnight train to Georgia. Nobody knew.
All right. Well, that's going to do it. Who knows what the hell is going to happen next week? It's not going to be new. So I'll probably have to go back in the vault again. Looking for a J-Make one this time. You got anything else, Kate?
Nope.
And on that note, I'm Kurt Money.
I'm Kateline.
I'm Lester Holt. For all of us, I'm Lester Holt. Good night.
Cocaine cowboys in their go-fast boats.